Syphilis might be more than usually related in centuries history. But he's been on the growth for the history 10 years in England, in more than cases recent year rather than in any year with 1949. The illness was, in impact, eradicated in the UK in the medium 80s just to de-emerge about 1999. Syphilis is a bacterium contagion how can be purified in antibiotics. Its symptoms involve, leftward raw above lot year, it can distribution to the marrow, and be deadly. Syphilis is yet comparatively unusual, manufacturing up less rather than 2% of all sexually transferred infections, STIs, undiagnosed in England 2017. The reality how we're behavior in a little common quantity of cases makes the percent growth see more than drama, 1,000 additional cases in 2017 equal to a 20% growth. The identical quantity of additional cases of chlamydiasis would present less than rather than a 1% growth. But however, down there has been a stable growth in the quantity of undiagnosed cases more than rather than duplicating in a 10 years, 7,137 recent year up of 2,874 in 2008. The growth in syphilis was nearly all amongst homosexual, androgynous and some men who include sex in men, onto by the government agent Social Public Health England, account for 78% of all cases undiagnosed recent year. Social Public Health England told it plans to growth numbers and rate of tests in populations at high hazard of contagion, to contribute previous detect and treat. Sex Public Health Advisor Dr. Patrick France, says increases in STIs are normally related to changes in sex behavior in a people. He says the latter growth in cases of syphilis has been managed in portion by behavior changes especially amongst men who include sex in men. Apps love Grindr include done accidental sex more than accessible and include been related to a growth in human beings possessing team sex, that seems to be a hazard element for compressing syphilis, Dr. France says. And down there is a increasing chemsex tendency, wherever human beings get drugs love chip methamphetamine for sex, potential reduction their inhibitions and manufacturing them less than potential to use protect. Social Public Health Advisor for the NHS in Southward London, Dr. Gillian Holdsworth, agrees how date apps may so promote to the accessing to accidental relationships, and it was a element sharpened to by Social Public Health England while it liberated the statistic. Though chlamydiasis, by far the largest overall STI, has fall amongst the entire people, it has rising amongst men who include sex in men, on in syphilis and gonorrhea. Cases of every of these three infections include rising by approximately 20% in a year. Gonorrhea has enlarged through the people as a entire, yet, in a 5 more than cases undiagnosed in 2017 rather than the year up. Syphilis and gonorrhea are both of very infectious or, in comparison with several STIs, can be contracted via verbal sex. On top of changes to sex behavior, more than human beings are visiting STI clinics. Importance more than cases of syphilis are creature undiagnosed. So how's potential to explanation portion of the growth? And men who include sex in men are more than potential to get proven, so he's probable down there are more than human beings in diagnosed infections in the otherwise of the people. Sex Public Health Hospital attendances enlarged by more than rather than 10% among 2013 and 2016, and by on 30% amongst men who include sex in men. But the growth in infections has outstripped the growth in test, offering down there's been a true growth in STIs. Budgeting intermittent to sex public health services include as well been sharpened to as a probable reason. Chief of Politics at HIV Mercy the Terence Higgins Confidence, Debbie Laycock, told, extended profound intermittent to sex public health services through England are certainly game a portion in the growth. This quantity of human beings access sex public health services has extended to growth. Consumer demand is on the growth and we're listening date to date more than human beings are proverb their creature rotated off of sex public health clinics so they can't though get in the doorway, and house though human beings who include symptoms. While it becomes stronger to get an assignment, the is especially potential to retain human beings who don't include symptoms but fair wish a usual testing. Such usual tests assist choose up infections at an previous phase and halt them creature distribution to lot some human beings. Down there several shove and drag departure on there, more than test leads to more than diagnoses that can driving up the figures, but at the identical period leads to previous detect and stops infections creature distribution that pushes them behind downward as so. But the growth in infections has been departure on for year, and the special peak in specific infections above other suggests how, once again, intermittent one may not be the entire reply. How's wherever such way of life factors go in act. Budgeting intermittent towards, wherever asset are concentrated in the public health facility makes a distinction to STI rates, both of in less than and more than financially straitened times. The domestic chlamydiasis screen program of the previous 2000s has been related to a growth in cases creature undiagnosed, and the drop in test in latter year has as well coincided in a drop in infections undiagnosed. The HPV vaccine program has been related to a drop in cases of sexual condyloma, especially amongst youthful female.